Hello and good morning, Mr. Khairul. How are you doing?
Good morning, Dr. Mustafa. I am doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Alright, first of all, I want to thank you so much for having this good morning with me. I have a few questions for you about things that are happening right now in our organization. And with regard to this matter, I would like to know your opinion as our human resource manager.
For sure, Dato. It is an honor for me to give my everything to White Land Design. I will try my best to answer those questions from you.
So we shall begin now. For the first question, one of our junior designer, Bidin, is used to be a hardworking person, especially at work. However, his job performance started to become deteriorate and he started to grow distant since the appointment of Tengku Zara as our senior designer. In your opinion, what makes Bidin to grow distant and have this work deteriorate?
Based on my observation, I think the main reason that caused Bidin to become distant and his performance at work is dropped because of the appointment of Tengku Zara itself. Bidin, who has worked really hard to get into that position, must feel really disappointed to see that the outcome is not like what he wanted. It is like putting all of his effort for nothing. Working without motivation will give a big impact on your work performance. In this case, Bidin must have his own perception that the position should be given to him. I would like to highlight the point perception here, where it is a process by which Bidin organize and interpret his sensory impression in order to give meaning to his environment. Therefore, Bidin perception that he can get the position as senior designer by working very hard. Instead, Tengku Zara, who is a royalty from Selangor and have a good relationship with all other employees, is the person that get that position. That must be the main reason why all of the changes happen to Bidin.
Bidin perception must really make himself disappointed. May I know the factors that influence his perception that he will get the position of senior designer?
Actually, there are three factors that can influence someone's perception, which are factors in perceiver, factors in target that perceiver perceive, and lastly, factors in situation. In this case, the factor that influence Bidin perception could be the factors in perceiver. Bidin will make perception based on his attitude, motive, experience, and also his expectation. He believes that his attitude at work, which are hardworking and honest, will lead him to that position. Bidin has his own expectation that he will be appointed by Datuk Mustafa as the senior designer of White Land Sdn Bhd. Furthermore, the other factor that could be influenced Bidin perception is the factors in situation. The situation such as time, work setting, and also social setting will also influence on how a person gives meaning to the environment. Usually, the person who works the hardest will get the appointment based on work setting. Therefore, Bidin makes perception that Datuk Mustafa will appoint the senior designer based on hard work using the work setting and also not by being biased. Hence, those are the factors that could influence Bidin perception toward his appointment as senior designer.
Oh really? I never expected and I never knew about those factors that could influence the perception of an individual. Can you explain to me how the attributional of biases work in this issue?
In this case, the attributional of bias that could relate to Bidin's issue is the contrast effect. It is the evaluation of a person's characteristics that are affected by comparison with other people recently encountered who rank higher or lower on the same characteristics. Bidin, who is a really hardworking person, could not get the position as senior designer because of the bias that are affected by the royalty of Selangor have by Tengku Zara. Also, Tengku Zara's extrovert personality that has a good relationship with everyone in the company also could be the factor. Due to that bias, all of the characteristics shown by Bidin is not taken into account even though Tengku Zara have the same characteristic or not.
I see. Perception of an individual does really make someone until they can affect the productivity. May I know what can you do to reduce such biases?
Actually, there are few actions that can be taken by White Land Design in order to reduce those bias. Firstly, the company should focus on its goals. As a manufacturing company, we should focus on a clear clear and objective goals in order to make our decision making much easier. A clear goal could also help us to eliminate options that not match our company interests and avoid us from making the wrong decision. Next, besides removing unnecessary options, we should also increase options to give us more related alternatives. The number of alternatives generated increase the chance of finding outstanding decision. The more the alternative provided, the better the decision will be.
I think that was a great advice. In the future, I will strive to put those suggestions into practice. However, could you please let me know how perception affects workers and the workplace?
Perception can give a positive impact actually. Firstly, it can affect the communication between the employee and also the management team. For example, when the communication between employee and top management are good, it will help the top manager to understand their employee. Therefore, it will increase the workplace productivity. However, perception could also give negative effect. If the communication between the employee and also the management are lack of communication. As example, this issue of bidding shows a negative effect of perception, since there are lack of communication between the employee and also the top management. When an employee keeps his perception to himself, there are lack of communication between them. The productivity of the workplace will decrease.
It seems like a huge effect to a company since it can give both positive and negative effects. I think it is important for me to pay more attention towards perception at the workplace. Last question from me. Can you suggest a solution to help our company solve this problem and improve the productivity of white land designs in Germany?
For this question, I will use the steps in rational decision-making model to solve this problem. First of all, we need to identify the problem that is currently happening in our company. A problem is a difference between an existing and desired state of affairs. For example, our office needs to buy a new internet network because the existing network is too slow. Secondly, we need to identify decision criteria. The decision criteria are the factors that define what is relevant in a decision, such as the cost of the internet network and also the internet network performance. Thirdly, we need to allocate weights to those criteria. By doing this, it can give each item the accurate priority in making the decision. For example, if the internet price is the most important factor, then we need to put more weight on those criteria compared to other criteria. Next is the development of the alternative. We can list all of the possible alternatives that could help us in solving our problem. The more the alternative available, the better the decision will be. Then, we need to evaluate and analyze the alternative. We can give rating to each alternative on each criterion by looking at the strength and also the weakness. After the evaluation, we need to select the best alternative which have the highest score based on our analyzation. Then, we need to implement the selected alternative by putting the decision and into action. In this case, our company will buy the new internet connection based on the decision that we have made. And lastly, we need to evaluate the effectiveness of our decision. By doing this, it will help us to determine whether the decision that we have made is good or a bad decision.
Mr. KHAIRUL, these are the best solutions, and applying these steps will definitely help us to improve our problems. Alright, I'm afraid to tell you that we're getting close to the end of our session. I would like to thank you for the best conversation with you this morning, Mr. KHAIRUL. I really appreciate your effort and time upon this current issue in our company.
It is my pleasure to help you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Datuk Mustafa.
Thank you, Mr. KHAIRUL.